and I'm talking to you today about why couples argue about money, okay? So in my book, Four Financial Languages, I talk about a lot of things, and it's about communication. And one of the things I talk about is why couples argue about money. Now, I posted this question out on social media. A lot of people have given me their ideas of why people argue about money. Very valid, different goals, different perspectives, communication. There's several reasons why people say that people argue about money or couples argue about money. And so I wanted to share with you one reason why couples mainly argue about money and how to fix it. Okay. One of the chapters I talk about it's called triggers. Okay. Triggers is one of the number one reasons why couples argue about money, and I'll explain to you what it is. So the four financial languages, there are four dominant financial languages. The dominant financial languages: spending, saving, investing, and giving. And it's not to say that you can't speak all languages. I talk about being fiscally bilingual. You can speak in multiple languages, right? But most couples argue about money because they're speaking different financial languages, right? You have a saver and a spender. A saver is speaking saving, and a spender is speaking spending, right? So it's like someone that's English that's married to someone that's Spanish. They don't know each other's languages, so they try to make a relationship work, but they keep arguing because they don't understand each other's language. What if that person learns Spanish and the other person learns English, and they're able to communicate with one another, right? So I think they're able to communicate with one another within that, right? So if I know Spanish, I'm going to be able to speak Spanish when I need to. And if my spouse or my my significant other speaks English, he can speak English to me so that we can better communicate. So that's the whole point of learning and understanding financial languages. Not only understanding your financial language, but also understanding your partner's, your mate's financial language as well. One of the things that I talk about in the book, and I talk about several things from triggers, pleasure principles, different dollar dialects, characteristics, and so forth. But one of the things I talk about is a trigger. A trigger is something that makes something happen in your brain, right? So something happens, you have something triggers in your brain. Now, here's the thing with triggers. Triggers can happen on a positive level and a negative level, right? So if you hear stupid, dumb, inconsiderate, depending on how it's being phrased, and if it's being phrased at you, it could invoke a negative trigger. Negative triggers causes a negative emotions. Negative emotions causes negative actions, right? So if you call me stupid, I'm going to feel some kind of way. It's going to trigger a negative emotion, and I may retaliate and call you a mother. I'm not going to go there with you, right? Right. But that trigger, that word triggered something emotionally, which then caused an action. Same thing with money. When you're dealing with a spender, saver, investor, or giver, they have different triggers, positive and negative triggers. So I'm going to give you an example, right? I am innately, my dominant financial language is spending, right? Which means I'm a spender. So if a saver uses the term budget, that word budget is going to have a negative trigger in my brain. Because when I hear budget, I hear diet, deprivation. I can't spend my money, right? That causes a negative emotion. I feel like someone's trying to control me. I feel like, I feel desperate, deprived. That's going to cause me to have a negative action. I may retaliate, and then I may spend your money, my money, and everybody else's money, all right? Because of that one word, budget. It was my negative trigger. And so if a saver keeps going to a spender and saying, we got a budget, it's not on our budget. You got to budget. You have to budget. That's going to cause a negative trigger in the spender, which causes a negative emotion, which then causes or produces a negative action. So a saver is always wanting, look, I told you that we needed to save money and we needed to budget. And the spender keeps spending the money. And the saver doesn't understand why this dude or this chick keeps spending the daggone money. I told you we needed to budget, right? You're using the wrong word. Conversely, if you use positive words, depending on the financial language, it will produce a positive trigger, a positive emotion, therefore a positive action. So as a spender, if you say, hey, we have this much money to spend, now that gives me a positive trigger. I have a positive emotion, happy, and so I'm going to do a positive action. Right? So if you give me boundaries, hey, you know what? We have $200 to spend this month. I'm more than likely going to spend the $200. And I'm going to just be within those parameters. Or if you say, you know what? I found a way that we can spend money on our savings account, or spend money on giving, or spend money on investing. Because you used a positive word of spending, sales, we love those words. You know what I'm saying? Shop, we love those words, okay? So when you use those positive words for us in context of what you need us to do, we're going to have a positive emotion and do positive actions for that. The problem with most couples is that a saver is saying negative words to that spender. That spender is interpreting as negative triggers, gives them negative emotions, so they do negative actions. The spender keeps saying things like spend, I want to spend money to a saver, and the saver keeps cringing because that is a negative word, because a saver needs safety and security. And when you spend all their money, they don't feel the safety and security. So what you may need to do is say words like, hey, hon, can you help me shop around so we can find a better deal and save some money so we can stay within budget? Now, if a spender says that to a saver, the saver is going to have positive triggers because of those key words: save, budget, shop around. They're going to have a positive emotion, and then they're going to do positive behaviors, which in your favor may be to buy that big screen TV, or to buy the new furniture, or to buy whatever, because now you've invoked their positive triggers. Now, if you come to a saver and say, hey, babe, we need a new sofa, we need a new big screen TV, I want to go buy this, I saw this there, I need some money to go buy this, the saver is going to be like, no, we already have enough furniture, it ain't, ain't dead yet, the TV ain't dead yet, I don't want to spend any money on that. And then the spender is going to be frustrated because the saver acts like the wealth warden, and I talk about what wealth wardens are, and they don't want to spend the money. And then there's arguments about money in the relationship. Why? Because certain words produce certain triggers, which produce certain emotions, then produce certain actions. Hashtag shots fired. Okay? So if you ever wonder why you're arguing about money, think about who you're in relationship with. Are you in a relationship with a spender, a saver, a giver, or an investor? Then 2, identify what their positive triggers are and their negative triggers. If you keep using words that invoke negative triggers, then you're going to get the negative emotions from them, and you're going to get the negative actions from them, which is not going to give you what you desire, you want within the cash conversation. So it's very simple. Just be mindful of the words that you use and how it triggers the person that you're speaking to. Okay? It's really that simple. So if you want to know more about those different triggers for the different dominant financial languages, because they are different for each financial languages, you can read that and learn that in my book, as well as learn how to utilize those triggers in a positive manner so that you can have a healthier cash conversation and avoid those dollar disagreements, those money misunderstanding, and those financial fights. We want to avoid those. We want to have cool cash conversations. We want to have a sexy money date, and I talk about money date and what should be included in those. So if you want to learn more and you want to have a most awesome conversation about money and never argue about money again with your partner, your spouse, or your significant other, make sure you pre-order my book, 4 Financial Languages, and learn how to do that. I hope this will help you. One thing I can tell you with this, if you're married or in a relationship with a spender, do not keep pushing budget, the word budget. Try using the word spending plan. I know it's semantics and it's psychological, but again, when we hear budget, you know, that is a negative trigger for us. We have a negative emotion, and then we do the complete opposite of what you're asking us to do. We are going to spend, 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 spend. Another point is that neither one of the languages are any better than the other. Okay, so a saver is not better than a spender. It's not better than an investor. Not better than a giver. All of them are the same level. What makes them bad is in excess of, right? So for example, you can be an excessive spender, an excessive saver, like a hoarder. You can be an excessive investor and invest all your money and lose it. You can be an excessive giver and give all your money away and you don't have any money left over. So anything in excess is what's bad. But just being a spender or saver or an investor or a giver does not make you any better than anyone else. So I'm going to give you some more tips as we go along. Hopefully this tip was very helpful. If you're watching the replay, do hashtag replay. If you'd like to learn more, you can go to madamoney.com and click on 4 financial languages, or you can pre-order your copy today in the link in the comments or in the link, or you can go to madamoney.com. Thank you so much for listening. Hey, I love you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Make sure you share this information with a couple that you like, know, and trust, and that you'd like to see them stay together. I'm just saying.